Hi students, how are you? I think it's fine. Myself, Tanmoy Datto, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, JS College of Engineering, welcome you all in my third lecture of thermodynamics. Today, we'll discuss about the work done in a reversible and irreversible process. There are two types of process by which we will calculate that what will be the amount of work done. Okay, so in case of a reversible process, we will apply the isothermal adiabatic, and for irreversible process also. We will determine today what will be the, or we will discuss today the Cp and the Cv. Okay, that means what will be the molar heat capacity at constant volume and constant pressure, and what will be the relation between Cp and the Cv. We'll also develop some relationship between P, V, T. Okay, there will be relationship between P, V, T, and also we'll discuss today that what are the drawbacks of the first law. So without further delay, let's start the class. So first of all, when we consider the isothermal reversible process, when we consider that isothermal reversible process, then first of all you have to keep in mind that I already told you in the previous class that the reversible process means that this process will go on in very small steps, like it will proceed in very small step, infinite small stages. Okay, so that means if we take one piston on the gas, then with very little step, the compression or the expansion of the gas will be possible. Okay, so you have to keep in mind first of all these things, and I already discussed with you that what is the PW. W is equal to P Ex into dV. Now the question arises that if you think about the reversible process, then what will be the dV? dV is the change of the volume in very small or infinite small stages. Okay, so if you consider it very small stages, then what we will do? Normally we will do with the integration. Okay, that means the summation of the all stages. Then what we have to do? Just we have to integrate it. So we will integrate it P into dV simply, isn't it? So when we'll consider P into dV, then think about that the initial volume will be V1 and final volume will be V2. So just integrate it in between V1 to V2. So this will give you the value of the work done in isothermal reversible process. Okay, so now all of you know very well that what will be the PV. PV equals to PV equals to inerty, isn't it? So PV is equal to inerty. So if PV is equal to inerty, so P is equal to inerty by V. So P is equal to, it will be inerty by V. So we can write down inerty by V. Just you have to put the expression of the P in the expression of the in the equation of the work. Okay, so this P equals to inerty by V you have to put in the equation of the work. So you know that W is equal to what was the integration of V1 to V2, integration of V1 to V2 P dV. It was the expression. Okay, so now in this expression obviously it will be reversible. Okay, it will be reversible. So obviously in this expression you have to write down here that equals to, we can write down integration of V1 to V2, it will be inerty by V dV, isn't it? So W reversible equal to integration of nRT by V dV. Now nRT is the constant, all of you know very well. N is the moles and R is the universal gas constant and T is the absolute temperature. So we can write down here in the outside of the integration part. So we can write down here that W reversible, that equals to, we can write down nRT integration of V1 to V2 this dV by V, isn't it? So now we can write down from this equation, we can write down nRT ln, after integration ln of V2 by V1. So W reversible equals to, we can write down nRT ln of V2 by V1. So this is the common expression which you have to keep in mind. Okay, this is very important, very important. You have to keep in mind the expression for work done in the isothermal reversible process. Here W reversible equals to nRT ln V2 by V1. So you can replace the expression also in this way, because you know that P1 V1 equals to P2 V2. So if you write down P1 V1 equals to P2 V2, then you can write down that P1 by P2, that equals to V2 by V1, isn't it? So P1 by P2 equals to V2 by V1. So this equation you have to apply in the previous equation. Okay, then we will get what we'll get the equation like here, that equal to nRT ln P1 by P2. Okay, so W reversible equal to, also we can write down that nRT ln P1 by P2. So these two equations are very much important for your exam purpose, or to solve the numerical problem. You have to keep in mind that either W reversible equal to nRT ln V2 by V1, or it will be nRT ln P1 by P2. Okay, so now it is the expression of a reversible change. So now we will move to the irreversible change. What will be the expression for irreversible change? So now if we move to the irreversible change, then in case of irreversible change, then we can write down that in case of irreversible change, we can write down that here this is not the step-by-step process. Okay, this is the one-step process. That means the opposing force is very low with respect to the driving force. Okay, so that indicate that here directly the change occur from here to here at one step. Okay, if we want to apply the force here, so directly that change occur from V1 to V2. If the change occur from V1 to V2, so V1 to V2, then there is no requirement of this kind of small steps. So directly we can get the change. So directly we can write down in this way that W irreversible equal to, we can write down that P external pressure, that equals to V2 minus V1. So if it is V2 minus V1, then just you have to put here what will be the V2 and what will be the V1. Okay, so because I again repeat, why here not integration is required, but integration required because in the previous case, look, there a reversible process. So in reversible process, obviously you have to take in consideration small steps. So that's why integration is required for the summation of all the small steps. But here it is the one step process. So as it is the one step process, there is no requirement of such kind of integration. Okay, but here what you have to do, you have to just convert the value of V2, because you know PV, PV that equals to nRT, so if PV equals to nRT, then we can write down V equals to nRT by P. Okay, so if we take the V2, then it will be nRT by P2, and if you take the V1, then it will be nRT by P1. Okay, so now just put here the values of V2 and V1. So here we can write write down. So here we can write down that W reversible equal to P, it is actually P2, P external means it is P2 actually. So then we can write down nRT by P2 minus nRT by P1. So W reversible equals to what equation we'll get? nRT by P2 minus nRT by P1. Okay, so then what we have to do, we have to just simple calculation after this step, isn't it? So then we will get, if you take the common term here, that means P2 here, it will be cancelled out. So if you take the nRT as the common term, then we will get the equation equals to W irreversible equals to, we can write down W irreversible equals to, we can write down, if you take the common term, nRT, that equals to 1 minus P2 by P1. You have to keep in mind for irreversible work, this is very important. Okay, for irreversible cases, and or we can write down that nRT equals nRT into P1 minus P2. Okay, so either nRT into P1 minus P2 by P2 or 1 minus P1 by P2, whatever. So you have to keep in mind any of the two expression. Okay, it is the W irreversible equal to any of the equation you have to keep in mind, because this is the expression for the irreversible work, and this is very important for to solve the numerical problem purpose. Okay, so now we will move to the specific heat. First of all, what is the specific heat? Okay, how we can define the specific heat? So specific heat can be defined in this way, that it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 degree for 1 gram of the substance. Okay, so specific heat is to raise the temperature 1 degree for the 1 gram of substance. This is called the specific heat. So from the specific heat, there is a very important term. What is the molar heat capacity? What is the molar heat capacity? You have to know what is the molar heat capacity. What is the molar heat capacity? What is the molar heat capacity? So molar heat capacity we can define in the same way, that it is for specific heat capacity. Look here, for specific heat capacity, here it is the for 1 gram of substance to raise the temperature 1 degree. For molar heat capacity, simply it will be applicable for 1 mole substance, isn't it? So molar heat capacity is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature 1 degree by 1 mole of substance. This is called the molar heat capacity. Okay, so now here the interesting case is that molar heat capacity, these are two types mainly. Okay, so one is the CV, okay, another is the CP. So what is the CV and what is the CP? CV is the molar heat capacity. It is the molar heat capacity at constant volume. Okay, here volume is the constant, so it is the molar heat capacity at constant volume. What is the CP? CP is the molar heat capacity at constant pressure. Okay, so there are two different idea are coming from here, either molar heat capacity at constant volume or molar heat capacity at constant pressure. Okay, so now I will discuss what is the molar heat capacity at constant volume and what is the molar heat capacity at constant pressure. Okay, so if we consider that as molar heat capacity constant volume, that is the CV, then Cv equals to, we can write down that dq by dt at constant V. Why? Because amount of heat required to raise the temperature 1 degree. So dq is the amount of heat required. So dt is the to increase the temperature, isn't it? So it is the expression that dq equals to Cv equals to, that means molar heat capacity at constant volume. This equals to dq by dt. So there, from there, I can write down here that with dq. So dqv equals to, we can write down Cv dt, isn't it? So then we can write down what is the meaning of dqv. You know that dq, I already told you that dq equals to du or de plus p dv from the first law of thermodynamics. Okay, from the first law of thermodynamics we know this fact. Now at constant volume dv will be 0. At constant volume dv will be 0. So if dv will be 0, if dv equals to 0, then we can write down that dqv that equals to de. dqv equals to de. So if it is dqv equals to de, we can write down that de or du equals to Cv dt. So this equation is very important. You have to keep in mind that du or dv equals du or de equals to Cv dt. And for n mole of gases, we can write down de equals to n Cv dt. de equals to n Cv dt. Okay, so this is very important, which you have to keep in mind. Okay, now come to the next point, that what will be the Cp. Okay, so if we write down here Cp, then we can write down Cp equals to dq by, in the same way, dq by dt, but here it will be at constant pressure, isn't it? So if it is at constant pressure, then we can write down dq p equals to Cp dt. dqp equals to Cp dt. So if dqp equals to Cp dt, then you have to keep in mind another equation, that dh equals to dq plus v dp, isn't it? So dh equals to dq plus vdp. So if we follow this equation then it is at constant pressure. So if it is constant pressure, then obviously dp that equals to will be 0, isn't it? So if dp equals to 0, then we can write down dh equals to dqp. So now you can replace the dqp here by dh. So we can write down that dh equals to Cp dt. So like in the previous case, that internal energy change that equals to Cv dt, and here change of enthalpy equals to Cp dt. So these two equations you have to keep in mind. This is very important for your exam purpose. And another thing, Cp minus for ideal gas. For ideal gas you have to keep in mind. Okay, for ideal gas you have to keep in mind that Cp minus Cv equals to R, where R is the universal gas constant. You have to keep in mind Cp minus Cv equals to R. R is the universal gas constant. Now if we consider the adiabatic work, then we'll get some kinds of relationship. Okay, for adiabatic work you have to keep in mind that there are three equations for adiabatic work done. You have to keep in mind that there are three equations which is very important. For example, first of all, Pv to the power gamma equals to constant. PV to the power gamma equals to constant. Okay. Second thing, T to the TV to the power gamma minus 1, that equal to also constant. And another thing is that T to the power gamma into P to the power 1 minus gamma, that equals to constant. Now what is the gamma? Gamma is the Cp by Cv. Okay, so Cp by Cv is called actually gamma. So gamma is equal to, you can write down that gamma is equal to Cp by Cv. This is very important, you have to keep in mind, because this relation is very important here. Now there is an important question which very often very common question, that all of us we know that work W is the path function. Okay, I told you what is the path function and what is the state function. Path function means it depends on the pathway of the change. Okay, depends on the pathway. Okay, that's why it is called the path function. Okay, so now if there any condition when work can behave as the state function, this is a very important question. Okay, so is there any condition when work behave as a state function? Because generally work behaves as a path function, but is there any condition when work behaves as a path function? Okay, yes, there is a condition when work can behave as a state function. When? So generally, what is the expression of the work? We can write down according to the first law, dq equals to du or de plus dw. This is a common form of the expression of the first law. All of you know very well. Okay, now at adiabatic condition, okay, if it is the adiabatic condition, then what happen? If it is the adiabatic condition, then what happen? In this condition, you know that here q or dq equals to 0 if it is adiabatic condition. Okay, so if it is adiabatic condition, then in adiabatic condition, if dq equals to 0, then we can, it is the 0, so we can write down that dw equals to de, isn't it? dw equals to de. So when dw equals to de, so that means, look here in this equation, if you look carefully, that w and e, these are the two functions are there. So now all of you know very well that E is the state function, because in case of internal energy it depends on only initial and the final stage of the change. Okay, it will not depend on the path. So if E is the state function, then obviously W will be the state function. Okay, because it is not possible that only W will be the path function and E will be the state function. Okay, so that means what is the condition? So under adiabatic condition, when adiabatic work done, okay, so when adiabatic work done, then only we can take as the work as the path function. You have to keep in mind this question can arise as a work as a state function. Okay, so this question you can expect in the MCQ form also, because generally maximum of the students give the tick marks on the path function, because generally work depends on, because why work depends on the or why work is called the path function. Okay, then you know that there are different kinds of expression you will get for isothermal, reversible, for isothermal irreversible. So that indicates that it depends on the pathway, because if it not depends on the pathway, their expression will remain same, their expression will not be changed. For each and every case the value will be same. If it is the path function, then only their expression will be changed. So that's why work is the path function, not state function. But only in case of adiabatic work, it will be the state function. Keep in mind. Okay, now come to the next topic. So all of you know very well that thermodynamics has the second law. Okay, I will discuss in the next class what is the second law. But before going to the second law, first of all you tell me that there must be some kinds of drawbacks, isn't it? if there is not no any drawback, then why it is required the second law? So before going to the second law, you have to understand what is the drawback of the first law. So what is the first law? First law only tell about that, only deliver that energy can be changed, okay, or energy can be changed from one form to another form, okay. Heat can be converted to work or like that, or one energy can be formed or can be converted to another energy. It cannot be created or it cannot be destroyed, okay, good. But tell me, is there any indication in this equation or in the first law that in which direction work can be flow, or in which direction energy can be changed? That means energy can be, or heat can be flow, okay, but in which direction? Or energy can be converted to one form to another form, in which direction? That is not mentioned in the first law. And based on this drawback, actually there will get the second law, because second law totally gives us the information about in which direction energy will flow. That means if you tell generally that heat will flow in the down the hill, so this is the second law, because it is not mentioned in the first law that heat will flow from high temperature to low temperature. This is not indicated in the first law even. So if you tell only that heat will flow from the high temperature to low temperature or down the hill, it becomes the second law. How beautiful is this? Okay, so in the next class we'll discuss about the in details that what is the second law and what is the mathematical expression of the second law, then entropy, then the free energy, etc, etc. Okay, and think about that. In the next class also I will discuss some numerical problems, because numerical problems are very important for the thermodynamics chapter. So we have to discuss the numerical problems also in the for next class. We'll discuss about this. So so today what we learned from this from the today's class. So first of all, we learned about that there are some how we can establish the mathematical expression. Okay, so mathematical expression for the work done for or according to the reversible process, and also for the irreversible process. Okay, so what is the energy or the mathematical form of the energy? Okay, mathematical form of the energy or derivation. Okay, then we established what we established. Then we discussed about the CV. Okay, so what is the expression of CV or the heat capacity? Okay, molar heat capacity, and what is the expression of the Cp? Also we discussed about the Cv and the Cp and their relation, and then we discussed about the some relationship from the adverbitive work done, that P, V and T, and finally we discussed about the here that what is the drawbacks of the first law. Okay, what is the drawbacks of the first law? Okay, so students, what you have to do, you have to practice a lot regarding the mathematical regarding the some numerical problems regarding the derivation of the first law, second law, or first law, second law I will discuss in the next class, and CV, Cp, the relationship. Okay, you have to understand properly, because if you do not understand properly these things, then it will be more difficult to understand the second law also, because in the second law or in the next class we'll discuss some kinds of numerical problems also. Okay, so meet with you in the next class with the second law. Okay, so goodbye, take care, and thanks a lot for attending my class. Okay.